Althea Rizzo, thank you so much for talking to us. It is currently 8:02 p.m. on Tuesday, July 29th, as we are talking, and the tsunami advisory is currently in effect for the entire West Coast. Tell us about the current situation from the perspective of the Office of Emergency Management. What do we need to know?
Sure. So at about 4:30 our time today, there was a very large earthquake, an 8.8 earthquake on the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia, which has generated a tsunami that should be reaching Oregon around midnight. We're not expecting it to be very large here. It's an advisory, which means waves could be up to about 3 feet or about a meter, but we are expecting waves up to about 2 feet here in Oregon.
All right, so waves of 2 to 3 feet. What does that look like for folks that are maybe not used to hearing that in a description?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for an advisory, we're not expecting to see waves coming on shore. This is not Japan 2011. But what you will see is strong currents in bays, harbors, ports, marinas, along beaches, along estuaries, and rivers. So our advice is really just to stay away from the water. Don't go down to the beach to watch this. That is putting yourself into danger needlessly. There are webcams all up and down the coast that will show the tsunami if it comes in. But we want people to know that, staying safe is really important, and that we want to make sure that, let's try this again. So what we really want people to know is that we're not expecting inundation like we saw in Japan in 2011. The best safety advice is to stay away from the beaches, the harbors, ports, marinas, because we can expect to see really strong currents there. And in 2011, we had millions of dollars worth of damage in Depot Bay, Port Orford, Brookings Harbor. So even though the water's not coming onshore like we saw in Japan, it still can do a lot of damage and it still can be very dangerous. So don't go down to the beach to watch it. There are webcams along the coast that you can watch it in. It's supposed to get here around midnight, so it's going to be dark. You're not going to be able to see much anyway. So that's what we have to recommend.
Yeah. And knowing that or hearing that water is not going to be moving inland, that folks can stay safe simply by avoiding the beach. That's a great information. And bringing up 2011, I know that that was a damaging tsunami for Oregon, originating from Japan. You said that in 2011 it caused the 2011 earthquake and resulting tsunami caused millions of dollars worth of damage. I know that you don't have a crystal ball, but is this setting up to be a similar situation in any way to 2011?
No, the type of earthquake is different than the 2011 Japanese event. This earthquake is a thrust earthquake, which means the plates are moving past each other. Japan in 2011 and the Cascadia subduction zone, which is right off of our coast, is where we have one plate diving underneath another. And that's what causes the really big tsunamis. So we're not expecting to have the impact that we did in 2011. 2011, we did see waves of 6 to 9 feet here on the Oregon coast. We were just very lucky that it was a negative low tide. Or we could be telling a very different story about that day here in Oregon.
Pardon me. So the waves, as you said, are 2 to 3 feet or expected to be 2 to 3 feet, I guess, here in Oregon. Is that right?
So the waves we're expecting here in Oregon are going to be under 2 feet.
Understood. Under 2 feet.
Under 2 feet.
Is that expected? Is that the size of a naturally occurring wave? Like, are you expecting any damage outside of the usual tide?
Um, we could get damage outside of the usual tide. A tsunami is really different than the waves we see on the beach, that are beautiful, they're rolling waves, but those are surface waves. A tsunami is really the ocean moving. And so, the first wave is usually not the biggest wave. That's really important for people to know. And what can happen is that water can stack up over time as the waves continue to come in. But for a 2 foot wave, you're probably, if you're standing far away from the beach and just watching, you're not going to really see much. It's the currents in the water, and the velocity of that water that's going to cause all the or could cause all of the damage that we might see.
That makes sense. At this point, for folks who are wondering, what should we do? How should we prepare? What would you tell them?
So what we really recommend is that people not call 911 to get information. Call the business telephone lines for the locals. We also really recommend that people sign up for text alerts that they can get on their phone if they go to Or Alert, ORALERT.org. They can sign up to get these kinds of alerts on their phone. And especially folks over on the coast, this is really important because you want to get this information.
So, yeah, is there really, it sounds like limited impact here in Oregon. Going from maybe might be something you can help explain to me. One thing that, can you explain the rationale for upgrading the tsunami watch to a tsunami advisory here on the West Coast? Kind of what does that mean for folks who may be unfamiliar?
Yeah, so a tsunami watch means that they're still evaluating whether or not the area under a watch is going to have a tsunami. And so it can take a while before observed tsunamis are hitting beaches, or if the tsunami goes over a dart buoy, it can take time. So what the National Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, Alaska does is put areas under watch. And that means, kind of stay tuned for more information. We don't really know which way it's going to go quite yet. And so the advisory means that you do need to take action. You need to stay away from the beaches and harbors. You need to stay away from the water. You need to stay off waterways. So action needs to happen if you see an advisory.